Am I the a-hole for refusing to do extra without a raise and causing my coworkers to get in trouble? So, I, 28F, work at a mid-sized company in admin support. I've been here for about 4 years, and while I don't love my job, I've always been reliable and consistent. I do what I'm paid for, meet deadlines, and try to stay professional. I'm not a superstar, but I'm not a slacker either. A few months ago, management laid off 2 people in my department due to budget cuts. That meant their responsibilities had to be absorbed by the rest of us. Naturally, my boss started outright telling, that I should pick up some of their workload. The kicker? No raise. Not even a discussion about compensation or a title change. I told my boss politely that I was already at full capacity and couldn't take on extra without it impacting my actual work. I also asked if there was going to be an adjustment in pay for the added responsibilities. He basically gave me the team player speech and said the company just can't afford it right now. So, I stuck to my boundaries. I did my own tasks, did them well, and clocked out on time. Meanwhile, my coworkers, who are honestly great people, started picking up the extra work just to keep things afloat. Fast forward a few weeks, management noticed deadlines being missed and errors piling up because my coworkers were stretched too thin. Instead of admitting the department was understaffed, the higher-ups blamed them. Now there's tension. A couple of my coworkers are frustrated with me because they feel like I left them to carry the weight. I reminded them that we're all being exploited and the company should have hired replacements or compensated us. Some agreed, but others said I made them look bad by refusing to step up. So Reddit, am I the a-hole for refusing to do extra work without a raise, even though it led to my coworkers getting in trouble? After the missed deadlines started piling up, the atmosphere in the office shifted. It wasn't just the usual stress, you could feel the tension. My boss started holding these check-in meetings almost daily, where he'd subtly guilt-trip everyone about not pulling together as a team and how some people are letting others down. It was obvious who he meant. Every time he said that, I caught a couple of my coworkers glancing at me. At first, I ignored it. I mean, I wasn't going to let myself be manipulated into doing extra for free. But one day, during lunch, one of my closer coworkers basically confronted me. She said, "Look, I get where you're coming from, but the rest of us are drowning. We're getting chewed out in meetings because the work isn't getting done. You could help us. You're just choosing not to." That stung. I told her flat out that it wasn't my job to save the company from its own bad decisions. If we all refused, maybe management would finally realize they can't keep piling extra responsibilities on us without proper staffing. She sighed and said, "Yeah, but we're the ones paying the price right now." The kicker? A week later, my boss pulled me aside for a private chat. He tried to frame it like an opportunity. If you take on these extra tasks, it will really show your dedication. It could help your chances when promotions come around. I asked if there was a raise attached. He said no, not at this time. I told him again that I wasn't able to take on more than what I was hired to do. He didn't like that answer. After that, I noticed I wasn't being invited to certain meetings anymore, and the vibe from my boss went from passive-aggressive to outright cold. Now I'm in this awkward position. Half my coworkers resent me. My boss clearly thinks I'm difficult, but at the same time, I'm not breaking my back for a company that won't even compensate fairly. Things hit another level when I started hearing my name pop up in conversations I wasn't supposed to hear. A couple of my coworkers were whispering near the copy machine, and one of them actually said, "Well, if OP wasn't so stubborn, maybe we wouldn't all be in this mess." It stung, because I've always been on good terms with them. But I kept my head down. Then I got an email from HR requesting a casual check-in. That's never good. When I went in, the HR rep started with small talk, but eventually circled around to, "So, we've gotten some feedback that you're not being as collaborative as you could be with your team. Is everything okay?" I almost laughed. I explained the situation point blank. Management laid off 2 people, dumped their workload on us, offered 0 compensation or title changes, and when I asked about pay, I was told there wasn't any budget. I said, "I'm doing my job well, but I will not do 2 jobs for 1 paycheck." That's not a collaboration issue, that's a staffing issue. The HR rep gave me that corporate smile and said she understood my concerns, but also reminded me that attitude and teamwork factor into performance reviews. Basically a veiled warning. To make matters worse, rumors started floating that I was angling for a lawsuit or trying to get someone fired, which wasn't true at all. I realized then that my refusal to play ball wasn't just annoying management, it was making me a target. Some of my coworkers started avoiding me altogether, like they were worried being seen with me would put them on the boss's radar too. My closest work friend told me in private that people were scared. They agreed with me in theory, but they couldn't risk being labeled difficult in this economy. At this point, I started updating my resume. It all came to a head during our quarterly review meeting. My boss did this thing where he went around the room, recognizing people for stepping up. He named two of my coworkers specifically for going above and beyond to keep the department running smoothly. Then he looked at me and said nothing. The message was clear. After the meeting, one of those coworkers, who I used to be friendly with, pulled me aside and said, "You know, OP, you're technically right, but you've made the rest of us look bad. Management sees us working extra and you refusing. Guess who looks like the slacker?" I told her if me refusing to do unpaid labor makes me a slacker, then so be it. The company chose to lay people off, not me. They're exploiting you, not rewarding you. She just shook her head and said, "Not everyone has the luxury to take that stand." That hit harder than I wanted to admit. A few weeks later, I got my performance review. My work quality was listed as excellent, but under teamwork, I got marked as needs improvement. Translation: they couldn't fault the job I was actually paid to do, so they dinged me for not going above and beyond for free. That was my sign. I'd already been casually applying, but I started taking it seriously. Within a month, I landed interviews and eventually got an offer from another company. Better pay, same type of work, and when I asked about expectations during busy seasons, the manager flat out said, "Overtime and extra responsibilities come with overtime pay or a bonus. We don't expect people to do unpaid work." That sealed the deal. I handed in my resignation the next week. My boss looked genuinely surprised, and a couple coworkers gave me cold shoulders, but a few actually came up to me privately and said they admired me for standing my ground. Now I'm a few weeks into my new job, and honestly, I feel vindicated. I don't think I was the asshole. I think my old company was trying to exploit loyalty, and my coworkers got caught in the crossfire. Do I feel bad that they bore the brunt of management's failures? Yeah, a little. But I don't regret refusing to break myself for a company that wouldn't even throw me a raise. So Reddit, was I really the asshole here, or just the only one willing to say no? If this story kept you hooked, give it a like, share your thoughts below, and subscribe for more.